Hey everyone, it's Zach with Z Squared Gaming. I have another pickup video for you here, and as you can see from the thumbnail, I did actually get a few games from my neighbor, which I'll let you know about when I get to them here. A couple of actually good ones, and I'll just hop right into it here. I'll actually be starting with the games that are doubles and that will be for future sale. I will let you guys know where I picked them up, and it's not too much for this video. There's actually quite a few games, not as good as some of the earlier videos in the summer, with it being winter or fall kind of slash winter. We actually had snow here in Minnesota before right before Halloween, so we actually had snow on the ground for Halloween. Kind of not really unheard of for Minnesota type of thing, but it is what it is. We always have pretty weird winters and actually falls as well too every year, it seems like. So like I said, jump right in it here. Saints Row 2 for the PlayStation 3. This is actually one of the few games that I don't remember where I picked it up. I think I actually picked this up at a thrift store, if I remember correctly. $3 or $4. It does go for a little bit, and I believe I do need the manual for the collection, so that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. So, rest here is actually all Wii games, and I actually picked it up on a bundle off of Facebook Marketplace. And so I'll just go through them here. Call of Duty 3, Lego Star Wars, The Complete Saga. Getting into some of the good ones here, Super Mario Galaxy 2. That's kind of starting to go up in price. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This is a Nintendo Selects, so it's got the kind of the special edition type of thing. So that's that. Next one here is Skyward Sword. Big controversy with people not liking the Wii Motion Plus part of that game. And then the semi-decent one here is Kirby's Dream Collection. It did actually come with the little book that usually comes with it. Unfortunately, it didn't have the outside box, which is actually something that I need for my collection. I did actually need the book, so I have that in with my collection. I just don't have it with me right here. And so that was pretty sweet. And then the cream of the crop of the games, which is The Last Story. And I already have this one for my collection, so this one will be for resale. So that was a nice one to pick up for resale and getting some of my money back. And along with those Wii games, I did actually get some games that I needed for the collection. I'll actually just jump right into that. I'll just kind of hop around, and I actually do have the little book that comes with that Kirby's. I thought I had already thrown it in the collection, but apparently not. So to continue on here, Rock Band Country Track Pack, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Samurai Warriors 3, and then actually another Nintendo Selects, but I needed it for the collection, Pikmin 2. And then along with this bundle, it actually, for Skyward Sword, it actually did come with the remote. So I actually did need this for my collection as well. I thought that was pretty sweet. I think I actually have had one of these in the past, but it was pretty scuffed up, so I actually sold it. I wanted to get a little bit nicer one. Hoping to actually get the outer box, and that's something that I don't have. So there's that. And then also in that same lot of games, I actually picked up a red complete in box Wii. So it's actually in pretty decent shape. It's got some kind of scuff marks here and there, but it's actually in good shape. You don't come across the red ones too often, so I thought I'd pick that up. I believe I picked everything up for, I think it was like $150 or something like that, and I think I should be able to make a majority of that back with the few games that I already had in the collection. So I'll kind of clean this up a little bit here. And then the next item here, I'll just kind of work my way from the left of this table that's in front of me, which I don't think you can see, and kind of work my way towards the right. The first thing here is a complete sealed PlayStation 3 remote. So that was pretty sweet. I picked that up at actually Goodwill. Kind of getting back to Nintendo here, I picked up one Wii U game. That was actually from GameStop. And then from a local video game store, Punch Out Gaming, I picked up a few loose games to go into my 3DS cases that I didn't have games for. I just had the cases. I have Scribblenauts Unmasked, Marker Man Adventures. The first one was a 3DS, this is a DS. Next one here is for the DS as well, SpongeBob's Atlantis SquarePantis. So that's another fun one, and just nice to be able to flip those cases in my collection the right side up because I have completed them. And then I also picked up a MLB 2006 The Show for the PSP. So that again is fulfilling one of the empty cases in my collection and making it complete. So it's always nice to get and complete and get off the list type of thing, because I actually on my list of my video games I put in where I need just the games themselves. If I have the case and sometimes even the manual, I'll just kind of note that I have the case and manual but not the game, so that I can be on the lookout for them for loose to pick up at video game stores or whatever if they have them loose. So. Next game here is for the Sega Genesis. I do not pick up the Sega Genesis too often, but I will if I see something that I need and that it's looked interesting, which this one does. James Bond 007, The Duel. And I actually did this I got this as a trade at a local swap meet in St. Cloud. So thank you, Lewis, for that, if you were watching. Alright, and I'll actually get back into the Nintendo, just kind of go through the different systems that I have remaining for that, and then I'll work into Xbox and then PlayStation. So, just kind of jump in here again. I got Top Gear Rally. That is actually a complete in-box game. I actually already have it in a protector here. This is for the Game Boy Advance, and I picked that up at a pawn shop. I think I paid a little bit over $9. It was like $9 plus tax. So that was actually a good deal. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't know why I said that. Next Nintendo game here is actually a DS game. And that's a Texas Hold'em Poker DS. I think I picked these up at a thrift store for like $3 or $4. And then just to go into the collection, something I didn't have, Quick Yoga Training. So there's a lot of kind of shovelware on the DS, kind of like the Wii, but of course you just need them to go into the collection if you're gonna, of course, be getting a complete one of those, complete DS. And I got quite a long ways to go in regards to that, but it's still fun to pick those up. So even if, especially if I can get them for cheap. So. Continuing with Nintendo here, I actually picked up a few Super Nintendo games, which is not very common. This is actually another item that I got at the swap. I actually swapped for another game that I was selling, of course, along with $5 cash, and that's Killer Instinct and the black cartridge. I believe this also comes in a gray variant, if I remember correctly. Comment down below if that's correct, or comment below and say that it's not correct, and it always comes in black. But I believe this does have a kind of more rare gray variant, if I remember correctly. But of course I did need the black cartridge one for the collection. So that, like I said, was at the swap. The next Super Nintendo games are actually all from a local pawn shop. So I actually just picked these up not too long ago. By the way, all of these pickups are for the full month of September. So it's kind of just a conglomerate of all of them picked up. And so just continue on here. Like I said, these are all from a pawn shop, and I don't recall what I paid for each one. They were kind of all over the place. $9 for a few of them, $14 for one of them, $24 for another, and then a more expensive one. I'll actually tell you the amount when I get to it here. So first off is Radical Rex. And then I actually already have them in the protectors. And then I got Super Off-Road. That's actually going to need a new back, so I'll probably swap that out. It's got a crack all the way in the back here, and then the top part of the back is broken off there. But luckily it's actually all the back, so once I replace that, it should look good. Not a very expensive game, but still nice to have those all kind of looking good and everything. Next one here is Brutal Paws of Fury. Never actually heard of that game. Actually hadn't heard of a couple of these. Super Off-Road, the previous one, I actually remember playing in the arcade, so that was pretty fun. Hadn't ever heard of Radical Rex either. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the Radical Reggie, if maybe he likes Radical Rex, and that's why he did Radical Reggie. Not quite sure. I haven't seen too much of him on YouTube lately, but just remember him being a kind of a follower of Metal Jesus. So. Alright, next one here is Hyper Zone. A lot of these were actually pretty dirty, so I had to clean them up. Actually, still a little bit of a marker residue on the front of that one. I'm not sure. I'm quite sure if you can see it or not. And then next one here is the Incredible Crash Dummies. I remember those guys being in commercials in the, what was that, 80s or 90s. So that was pretty fun commercials to watch. They always made me laugh. And then the last one here, the kind of the more expensive one, I paid $49 for this at the pawn shop. And it is the Flintstones, The Treasure of Sierra Mad Rock. Unfortunately, it does have some label damage on the top here. And so it's kind of rough, but did actually pick that up at the pawn shop, like I said. And I think this, looking at the comps on this, goes for about $80, $90. Picked it up for $49, and I'm sure I'll hopefully be able to kind of update or upgrade that label in the future. So, those were all, like I said, from the pawn shop, except for that Killer Instinct, which I got at the swap meet. So, next system here, I have an original. Next system here, I have an N64 game, and I actually picked up Olympic Hockey 98, and I actually already have a case with no label on it, so I'll pop that in here. And just trying to remember where I picked this one up. I can't quite remember. I think this might have actually been at a pawn shop as well. Had quite a bit of kind of damage to it, so I had to clean that up. And as far as like on the top, there's actually a little bit of residue on the top label here, but it's a sports game, it's not worth too much. Next here, I do have some Switch games that I picked up during September. Majority of these were actually from GameStop. They were actually doing a what were they calling it? A loyal week or something like that, or it was a pro week. So you actually were able to get some games for really dirt cheap. They were doing 75% off some games, 50% off some games, and 25% off other games, and it was pretty much every system in the store, except for the retro stuff now that they're collecting that, that they're taking those in again. But they're all for the the main modern consoles. So, and each store was different. So I actually did go to three different stores within my area. I went north to North Branch, and then I went to the Lina Lake store, and then also to the Maplewood store. So picked up a few here. Not a terrible amount of them, but still pretty fun to pick up Switch games. And also with that Pro Week, they were doing, I believe it was buy two, get one free for used games. So I did take advantage of that with the PlayStation games that I have in the future of the video here. But this one I got at GameStop, Wild Guns Reloaded. I was going to say Wild Arms. Fire Emblem Warriors. That was at GameStop, and that's 3 hopes. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I think this was one of the really cheap ones, $5 or something like that. And then this one I picked up at a pawn shop, Zombie Army Trilogy. Picked this one up with that Top Gear Rally Game Boy Advance game. And so, picked that up. And of course I had to pick up Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I am actually keeping this sealed, and then I'll be on the lookout for an open copy on Facebook Marketplace to hopefully be able to play it. So I haven't quite played it yet, but we'll of course get that and play that when I get that off that Facebook Marketplace. I usually try to wait until it goes $40-50 on Facebook Marketplace for these newer ones. Except for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I of course picked that up and just opened that up myself. So I like to get to these kind of more expensive or more likely sought after games in the future and keep them sealed, just to kind of have that for the collection. So those are all the Switch games, and so I will move into the Xbox games here. So I'll start with the original Xbox. And so this first one here was at a thrift store, Trophy Bass 2007. And let's see, I can't recall where I picked this one. I think this was at the local swap in St. Cloud. That's Soldier of Fortune Double Helix 2. Yep, now that I think about that further, that was from the swap. Prisoner of War. Can't recall, I think that was actually at the swap as well. Maybe all of these were. This is actually the one that I can't quite remember if that was at the swap or not. These next ones I do know were from the swap. Metal Slug 4 and Metal Slug 5. I paid a little bit more up for that, just don't see that too often. And then this one I got from my buddy at the swap, BMX XXX. He's also a big Xbox collector, so he's also going for the original Xbox and the 360. I think he's actually focusing more on the 360, if I remember correctly. If you're watching this, Ryan, you can certainly note or comment down below and let me know. I think you're focusing on the 360, but you'll pick up original Xbox games too. I think you're kind of looking for both, but of course I'm focusing on the on the original Xbox, and then I'll actually be focusing on the 360. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can before the prices start going up next year, once they close down the store servers in the store for the 360. So, continuing on here with the original Xbox, this is again from Ryan. Exhibition 7 Demos Disc Volume 6. Can't remember, I think there's like 8 or 9 of these, and I have 2 of them so far. And then the cream of the crop. So looking at the start of this video, or the picture at the title of this video, this is actually from my neighbor again, the same neighbor that I got God Hand from. So this is actually a pretty crazy expensive one, and that is the Mortal Kombat Deception Collector's Edition, and it's the Scorpion Edition. So there's, I think, like 4 or 5 different editions, and each of them have different characters. This is one of the more expensive ones, and it is complete. I had no clue that these different editions were more expensive, and I don't think neither did my neighbor. He said that his brother actually gave this to him to either give to me or sell or whatever, and because he didn't want it anymore. And I think they actually just looked it up and saw Mortal Kombat Deception, and that I think goes for like $10-15 bucks. But this one with the special collector's edition, and it being the Scorpion edition, I think it goes for like $80-90. So that was pretty sweet to get. I do continue to help him out with picking up leaves and mowing his lawn type of thing. It does take quite a bit of time because we both have pretty large yards to do, and so there's that. And then I think there's one more game in with the PlayStation stuff that I also got from him as well. And then actually I'll just continue on here. And there's a couple of other things, not just another game. I forgot that there's another kind of box over here on the right. I'll get to it pretty soon here. Next game here, original Xbox, but it's a Platinum Hits, is Red Dead Revolver. That one I picked up at a GameStop. This next game here I picked up at the swap, WWE, I think, or I can't remember, WWE or WWF Raw. And it looks like I still have the sticker on the end here, $5. And then I also got a complete sealed original Xbox game, Platinum Hits, and that's for Conflict Desert Storm. Can't quite remember where I picked this one up. I think that was earlier in September, so it's kind of hard to remember that. So, all right, we'll kind of move those out of the way here. Move on to 360. First game here is Guitar Hero Live. Didn't have that one quite yet. Can't remember where I picked that one up. I think that might have been at a thrift store, if I remember correctly. And then Heavy Fire Shattered Spear. I believe I actually picked that one up at local game store, Punch Out Gaming, on a trade. So there's that. This one I believe was at the same place, Dance Central 3. This might have actually been... Actually, I think this might have been GameStop, now that I'm thinking about it. I know this next one was from GameStop, The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Enhanced Edition. Actually pretty cool cover art. And this last one here for the 360 I picked up at a thrift store, and that is UEFA Euro 2008. It is a soccer game. Not too much into soccer myself, but of course I need those for the collection. So, getting back to what I was talking about as far as my neighbor giving me some stuff for helping him mow and pick up leaves in his yard. He also brought over a Xbox 360 empty box. It doesn't have any system, doesn't have actually any inserts either, but he brought this over thinking that I might be interested, and I believe I'd need it, so I certainly did grab it. And of course it's not too bad picking up stuff for free for helping out your neighbor, so certainly enjoy all of that. So that's pretty sweet, so I'll certainly be adding that to the collection. Alright, and getting into the last, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the Xbox ones. They're kind of hiding here. I believe a majority of these I got from GameStop, so I'll just kind of look through them here. Yes, actually all of them were from the GameStop that I was talking about with that Pro Week that they had. Can't remember what I paid for each of these, but they were usually either 75 or 50% off because of their promotion that they were running. So I got Gravel, got a brand new copy of Gotham Knights, and it looks like that's for the Series X. And then I have Arrow Heart, I believe that's how you pronounce that. Looks like that's for both the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. And then this one here is pretty fun. I know I've heard that it's a really bad game, but I of course needed it for the collection, and that is the Lord of the Rings Gollum. And that's of course a dual Xbox One and Xbox One X. And then this one here, I figured I would never find it again. It was actually, I think, like 75% off of like $60, so I did, pay up a little bit for it. But it is the Saints Row Notorious Edition. It's kind of a special collection, collector's edition type of thing. It's got a slipcover and these kind of cool cardboard case to it. So, so I picked up all those Xbox One games at GameStop, and so adding those to the collection. So, all right, so now I'm getting into the PlayStation games. I actually have, it looks like some games for every system. So start with the PlayStation 1. I got Wheel of Fortune, 2nd edition. And can't quite remember I picked that up. I think that might have been a thrift store. All right, and then I'll actually kind of hold off on some of these other ones here. Hopefully you didn't see them. This one was actually from a thrift store, if I remember correctly. It is Golden Tee Golf. And then these next 4 games were actually from a trade that I did with Rolling Retro. He was actually the one that did my game room tour. And so he actually picked up quite a bit of original PlayStation games for his PlayStation Pursuit and trying to get certain games. He picked up actually a big lot, and then he was kind of looking to see if anybody wanted some of the games that he didn't. So I reached out with some of the games that I saw in the pictures that he sent, and said that I'd be willing to trade or buy type of thing, and we actually ended up pretty much trading. And so the last game is actually a pretty nice game, but these other ones, I think a couple of them hold a little bit of value, but unfortunately this first one, it is missing the manual. It just has the outer cover of the manual, and that is Akuji, the Heartless. It was actually a rental game, and I think that's probably why the manual was in that kind of condition. It does actually say rental on the back, and I think this was the game where I actually pulled off a rental sticker on the actual game itself, but got that, so I'll have to hopefully get the manual for that later on. Next game here is C-12 Final Resistance. Certainly looks like an interesting game. And then the next game here is Gunfighter, The Legends of Jesse James. No clue that they ever did a game like that for the original PlayStation. That's pretty fun. Alright, and then the cream of the crop. This one I actually was kind of surprised that he was willing to give up. And it is a complete copy of Castlevania I can't even say it, Symphony of the Night. It is a greatest hits version. He actually would have wanted to keep it if it wasn't greatest hits, but because he's going for just the black label. I didn't mind it being greatest hits. I actually didn't have either the greatest hits or the original black label in my collection, so that was fun. I actually did do a trade with him for a few games and then a slim console, so that he could try to make his money back easily for what he spent on the whole lot. It is kind of damaged here on the manual, but apart from that, it's actually in pretty decent shape. It does have some scratches on it, which I probably have to get resurfaced, but not too mad about that, and happy to be able to add that into the collection by just trading with a buddy of mine. So those are all the PS1 games. I'll move on to PS2. Looks like I just have a couple here. Actually, I should just say one because I looked at the second one here and you'll see what I mean. Next one here is Deer Hunter, and I picked up this one at a thrift store. And then the next thing here is actually not a game, but it's Xenosaga Episode 1, and it includes the new trailer for Xenosaga 2. So I do pick up these DVDs when I see them, and I think this was actually at a thrift store, so it was a couple of bucks, and so that when I actually get to play the games, I can watch the movies if it needs to have a movie watched in between them or something like that. I'll have to, of course, do that kind of research when I get to that. Might be just completely outside of the games, but it's kind of like the Final Fantasy Advent Children. I certainly enjoyed that. That was something that was kind of outside of Final Fantasy VII, but it was still fun to watch, and so maybe this is that same way. If you guys know, you can certainly note in the comments down below and let me know, so that I can kind of not have to maybe do the research when I go to play the games and watch the movie itself here. So, all right, and moving on to PlayStation 3. Not quite sure if this is actually a game or just a DVD or a combination or what, but it's actually a steel case for the Metal Gear Solid 5. And it's actually a pretty sweet steel case. I always like steel cases, but I don't like to, of course, pay up for them. I like to find them out in the wild. This I did pick up at a Goodwill, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it does actually just have a Blu-ray disc inside, so I'm not sure if it's supposed to have a game disc in here as well. It does actually have that kind of spindle where you can have multiple discs on there. So I'm guessing someone just took the game out and kept the game and then donated this to Goodwill. But if you guys know, you can certainly let me know down in the comments, just like some of the other stuff. But I thought that was pretty sweet to pick up and maybe complete if it has more to it. A lot of the steel books actually have a slipcover, and of course you can't see the slipcover here. It didn't come with it. So, all right, and then getting on to the next game here. This is actually another game that I got from my neighbor for helping him with his mowing the lawn and picking up leaves and stuff. It's nothing crazy expensive, but it's something I needed for the collection, and it's The Saboteur. was a pretty cool ad. This next game here, I believe, if I remember correctly, picked up at a pawn shop, and that is the First Fear. That does actually have some damage to the cover art, so I'll have to get that replaced at some point. Looks like it does have a little bit of water damage, and I wonder if that's kind of the same kind of damage that happened to the top here. But this is complete, so that was pretty sweet. And then I think all these next games were at GameStop, and the last one is actually a pretty good deal. So we'll go get through these here and show you that. So yeah, this was at a GameStop. Now that I'm thinking a little bit further here. So it's the Super Street Fighter 4. And I don't think that's greatest hits, but it's in a red case. So I wonder if maybe it was swapped at one point. But maybe it was supposed to come in a red case. And that was complete, by the way. Now this next one is missing the manual, and it is a little bit of damage on the cover art here, but it is the Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. And so this game and then these next two games I picked up all at the same time. So like I was saying earlier, for the Pro week that they were doing, you bought 2 and got the 3rd free for used games. So that was the first game. And then this next game was awesome to find, and that is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 3. And so, that was, of course, number 2. And then the third one, and they were slipping, by the way, on this third one, is the collector's edition of Spider-Man 3. They actually had this listed, I believe, as the regular Spider-Man 3, not the collector's edition. This one actually goes for some good money. And it also had the slip cover. It didn't actually have it out on the floor. They had it in with the disc itself. So that was pretty sweet to pick up these 3 games. And like I said, it was buy 2, get the 3rd free. Of course, I had to pay for the higher dollar amount ones, and then you got the cheapest one for free. But that was a pretty sweet pickup at a GameStop. So they do slip every once in a while. They are actually getting a lot more retro games in their stores, which is pretty sweet to see. I have already traded in one Wii. I didn't get much for it, but I just wanted to see how much it would be. I have so many Wiis that I was just happy to kind of get it out of my basement here and out of my kind of life to see how much I can get for trade. And what I'm actually going to do is try to get even more trade-in so that I could get a like a Switch or some kind of large item like that. And then what I'll do is do a Facebook swap or trade for that Switch that I pick up. So I try to get as much as I can for dirt cheap at garage sales, thrift stores, and then trade that into GameStop, and then use that trade to then get the system, and then do the system to trade to get more retro games, and then kind of repeat the cycle essentially. So I know it's a lot of work, but that's kind of fun to do, and I enjoy that, so that's why I do it. And so kind of fun to find these retro games at GameStop again. And then with the physical games going down and down and down, GameStop might be one of the last kind of few vendors or companies to offer physical games going in the future type thing, because Best Buy and I think it was Best Buy and Walmart said that they're not going to be carrying physical movies in 2024, and I'm sure that physical games are right behind that. That of course is not guaranteed, but it's certainly something that is going to probably be in the future. Of course, the next Xbox is going to be digital only, so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We can't really do much about it. Who knows, maybe at some point it will be kind of like LPs where physical will maybe come back in the future type of thing. So we'll have to check on that, but just kind of continue on here. Have some PS4 games. Majority of these were from GameStop. I actually picked up quite a bit at GameStop last month because of that Pro Week and the sales that they were doing and that promotion of the buy 2 get 1 free type of thing. So first one here is MXGP. This one I think might have actually been at a thrift store now that I think about it. But I think all the rest of them were at, oh, maybe not. No, I've seen a couple that were, I think, at thrift stores, which is this next one here, RBI Baseball 2019, NHL 20, I pick up these sports games as cheaply as possible just because they're not worth too much. And we have the Crew Wild Run Edition. I think this might have been actually one of the last garage sales that I picked up, if I remember correctly. Alright, and then all the rest of these were from GameStop. And so this is actually a brand new sealed Call of Duty Vanguard. I hadn't actually picked it up yet. Picked up a copy of Elden Ring, so I will have to play that. I hear so much about that and haven't actually played it myself. And then the next one here is Outriders World Slayer. Pretty crazy cover art there, and then also on the back too. And then the next one here is Neo, The World Ends With You. Pretty interesting anime slash Jet Set Radio kind of game. Kind of a combination of those. And then the last one here is Tales of Arise. That one is sealed. Came from GameStop. Alright, then I do have a few PlayStation 5 games. And I believe these were actually all from GameStop, which they are, after looking at them. First one here is Scarlet Nexus. Looks like I do have a little bit of sticker residue to get off of that one. Next one here is Deathloop. As you can see, that's in a good plastic sleeve or cover. That one is completely sealed. And then I have Gungrave Gore. Pretty cool looking cover art on that one. And then the Day 1 edition of the Callisto Protocol. Looks pretty scary from the back. But I heard that's actually not too scary, if I remember correctly. And that, no, I'm thinking of Death Stranding, that people were kind of disappointed in. I don't think I've heard much about the Callisto Protocol, so you guys have to let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of that one. So, all right, I do have actually one last item. I have it actually on the floor so that you wouldn't be able to see it with me picking up stuff and moving. I don't think the camera's really moved much, but this is actually something that a buddy of mine and I were kind of looking at, and we're kind of Googling over, and as you can probably see, I am kind of wearing a Spider-Man shirt, so I'll show it to you guys here. I actually did pick up a Spider-Man 2 PS5. I'm actually going to be keeping this sealed, and I am still on the lookout for an open copy of a PS5 so that I can actually get a system just by itself without having to bust any open seals. This is my actual second version of the PlayStation 5 that is in my collection now. So I have the PlayStation 5 Spider-Man 2 version, and then I also have Ragnarok, which I picked up, I believe it was last year around the holiday season. It was either last year or 2 years ago. But certainly happy. I just love what the controller and the actual system looks like. Sadly enough, you actually don't get the Spider-Man 2 game in here. I thought that was kind of crazy, but still pretty cool to pick up and add to the collection. So that will go back with the Ragnarok. And so that will do it, guys. Thank you for stopping by and seeing what I had picked up here in September, and probably won't have a just October pickup video. Have just a few games that I picked up so far in October here, so I might combine, October and November or something like that, or maybe even December as well. I'm gonna probably try to slow down a little bit here for pickups for the kind of winter season here. I'm actually trying to get the funds together to pick up a disc resurfacer, so that's kind of my big push for this whole winter, is to try to get one of those so that I can actually sell some of my games that need to be resurfaced. I would actually prefer to get my own resurfacer and then resurface them and then make that money back for selling and getting rid of the games that need to be resurfaced. So don't really feel like going to any place to get them, every disc, $3 to $5 depending on where you go to get resurfaced. I would like to actually get my own and be able to resurface those and then hopefully get the money back. I will probably be setting up some kind of a service where I would be willing to resurface discs for other people. I'll probably be putting out a sign in my yard or something like that, and maybe do some advertising on, of course, Facebook Marketplace, maybe even Craigslist or something like that. But certainly we'll, of course, get to that when I get to that. And of course, it will be a lot of money to get together and purchase that. So that'll be a lot of work, but hopefully I'll be able to get that done, especially with the fourth quarter here and trying to get some more sales through eBay and that kind of thing to get that funds together to get that resurfacer. So thank you guys again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and please like the video. That certainly helps as well. And then, of course, comment down below. I will certainly comment or reply to your comments, and certainly enjoy talking with you guys in regards to what I picked up. And thank you guys for watching. Be good and do good.